Hello and thanks for staying on LN 24/7. This is Politics Now. My name is Moino Balagobo. Today we'll focus on something that's been on the front burner in the nation, talking about attacks and killings in the Plateau and Benue State. Well, our talking points will focus on lingering herdsmen attacks in Benue State and way forward in addressing ethno-religious conflict in Plateau State, Nigeria's security architecture, and resolving conflicts. Also today on the show, we'll be focusing on unpacking PDP Governors meeting. Our talking points will focus on the 2027 rejection of merger proposal by Atiku, tussle over National Secretary position, and proposed NEC meeting and resolving internal wrangling. Our guest, Ogbede Ifaluyi Sibo, PDP chieftain and also former Commissioner for Digital Economy, Science, Technology in Oyo State, will be joining us shortly on the program. But first, let's take a quick breather. We'll be right back to break down the conversation. To stay with us. And now to our first conversation. The last few weeks have seen a surge in insecurity as the country. We will be focusing on the devastating news of fresh killings in Benue and Plateau states on the show today. In the last week, we've had political analysts and politicians from these affected states speak on the situation. But today, we will be speaking with a revered security analyst to fully assess the situation and proffer meaningful solutions. Now, with us on set today is Dr. Stephen Okwari, security expert. He is a sociologist, security safety crime management professional, and senior security manager of Stick Mirac International Limited. Thank you so much, Doctor, for being with us on the show once again.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, so let's start with the news of suspected herdsmen on Tuesday evening attacking the Otobi community in Akwa district of Otukpo local government area of Benue State. The attack started about 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday, according to the lawmaker who represents Otukpo Akwa constituency. And of course, the number of persons killed is yet to be made public, as hundreds have fled the community. Last week, during a media parley with journalists, Governor Aliyah tried to unravel the reasons behind the killings. Let's take a listen to an audio of that conversation.
Of one of our local governments in Kwandi shares border with Cameroon, very porous borders. Then internally we also share borders with Taraba, Nasarawa. Nasarawa is quite vast as well. Kogi, Enugu, Ebonyi, Cross River. So, but where we have a number of incessant, persistent, and continuous attacks is from these axes. So how they find their way all through to get into us, you know, it's also indicative of the porousness of our borders. But we're Nigerians, we know our faces, You know, we share same features, we understand all this. So when we see those who are mercenaries, those who are fighters, those who look very different from the associated herders we know, we understand that.
Now, in neighboring Plateau State, also in the north-central geopolitical zone, over 100 people have been killed in the last 2 weeks when bloodthirsty marauders unleashed mayhem on communities in the Bokos and Bassa local government areas of Plateau States. Now, tears flowed freely when the ZK community of Bassa local government area in Plateau State laid to rest the 51 victims of the recent heinous attack in the area. The victims were gunned down early Monday when perpetrators stormed the village and started shooting sporadically, leading to scores of deaths in what has become a recurrent incident in the state. This carnage came despite reassurances from government authorities less than 2 weeks after a similar dastardly killing left over 50 people dead and several others nursing injuries. Now, Governor Caleb Mofwang has apologized to the people of Bassa local government area for the failure of government and security agencies to protect lives and properties. But like all human arrangements, sometimes they fail. And he says, I want to admit that on Sunday night into Monday morning, we failed you. Please forgive me. Let's have a listen to what he said.
I know that you have reason not to be happy with some of the operations in the past. But I want you to know that whatever lapses there are, we have taken decisions to correct them. But let me remind you that whatever arrangements the security agencies do, that is only part of the solution. The solution must come from the community. We have come to a point in time in Nigeria where every community must make arrangements to defend itself.
Now, also, the governor is taking decisive steps to support the recovery of conflict-impacted communities. And during his Boko's visit, that's the local government in Plateau State, he committed to upgrading road infrastructure and improving telecommunication access. Let's have a listen to what he said.
This morning, rather, to see the place where this devastation of banditry took place. I've come to see the people, to encourage them, and to sympathize with them over the loss of their dear ones. This is the village that lost the most number of people in this latest act of terrorism and genocide.
All right, so with us on set is, of course, our highly esteemed security analyst, Dr. Stephen. Good to have you back with us. So let's start with your state. You're from Benue State, and over the past, months, you've always helped us to understand some of the security challenges that we have in the country. So let me allow you to speak on your state. What is the challenge? And it appears to me as if Governor Ali seems to not be able to grasp the situation of things, because I recall there was a time he actually went to commiserate with persons who had lost their lives, I think in Otupo local government area. And I think that same very day, there was an attack. So how do you explain all of this reoccurrences of these attacks?
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate that we're in this situation where Nigerians are killed like chicken, innocent Nigerians, either going about their lawful businesses or while sleeping in their various homes. This, whatever they call their names, but I call them criminal elements, right? I call them criminal elements because whatever people are saying, whatever the government is saying, for me, is a guesswork, or they're just being speculative. What I mean is that we are not truly or really sure who the perpetrators are. Yeah, because it is from an investigation, that you unravel who these perpetrators are, if they are terrorists or if they are bandits,
or headsmen,
or they are alleged headsmen. Now, we'll wake up and hear these stories. These people come, kill, and they go scot-free. They come, confront innocent people, kill them. Who are these people? We must establish who these people are. We must clearly establish who these people are. We can't continue to hear that they are headsmen. You and I know headsmen, what they do. They are cattle rearers, meaning that they carry their cattle from one location to another location. Now, if these people are headsmen, what then now happens to their cattle when they come to carry out these acts, these barbaric acts? Is it that when they run or when they escape alongside with their cattle? They escape alongside with their cattle, and the cattle are not even seen or something. So we shouldn't continue to remain in that euphoria. Let us clearly come out to it. Okay, these are the people. How do we now establish who these people are? That is one. Two, we have seen these acts of, these barbaric acts of people coming to kill people. What has happened to these perpetrators? Because we have not been able to arrest any of them. Right. In the event where some of them are either killed or arrested, then from their, when you see a typical Nigerian, when you see a foreigner from Chad or Nigeria and all that, they have their distinct features. Then you will know if they are foreigners that have come and have collaborated.
Now, on the issue of foreigners, the media parley that Governor Aliya had last week, he made mention of these ECOWAS agreements that made our borders porous. I mean, are you in line with his thoughts? That's the root of the problem.
Yeah, you see, our borders have been porous. Even if there's any ECOWAS agreement, why do we still have the immigration service? Why do we still have them there? Because they are there to man our borders. In the event where we see foreigners coming into our country, the ones that are criminally minded, right? We should be able to establish that these are criminally minded people, right? The immigration, what are they doing? I think they have failed in their mandate, because we have clearly seen where foreigners have come to collaborate with our domestic criminals here, and they are inflicting pains on our people, right? You know, the Fulanis, you find them here, you find them in other Sahel countries. So when they come in like that, in the name of coming to rear cattle, what do you expect? You know, before now we used to hear of grazing routes, right? But right now, population explosion, right, has taken over such grazing routes, because the farming, agricultural expansion. People now go to see how to expand their farms as a result of the population explosion, right? So a lot is not working out. But you do know why we keep missing it or failing? It's because we keep doing the same thing. You know, we have not changed from doing the methods or measures we are putting in place to see how to combat the challenge, right? And of course, you know that we cannot continue to do the same thing and we expect a different result.
Sir, but some of the persons that we have spoken to, I've had the opportunity of interviewing, you know, a local government chairman in Benue State, and he practically said that these people are Fulani herdsmen, and they are more of terrorists, that this is not really the issue of herdsmen, and they're just attacking that. And he also made an allegation that they are conniving with security operatives. So when they have somebody who is dead, to bury the person, they need to pay some certain amounts of persons to bury their dead right there in Benue State.
You see, when we're breaking from the chairman now that you interviewed, when we're making statements, we should be very sure of what we're saying. Now, are these people... Now, don't forget that every tribe has criminal elements. I'm from the Idoma-speaking tribe. I know we have criminals from the Idoma-speaking tribe. And also, it's applicable to every tribe in Nigeria. The Fulanis have criminals amongst them. So if we have terrorists or bandits that are Fulanis, that are coming to inflict this kind of pain, killing our people for just no cause, then let it be established that these are Fulanis that are terrorists, but not herdsmen. So when we begin to mix the two up, we are confusing ourselves, because we know that an average herdsman that is Fulani breeds cattle, as it moves his cattle, is a nomadic Fulani that takes cattle from one location to another location. These herdsmen that they are mentioning, are they these cattle rearers? Are they the ones that are killing our people, or Fulani terrorists come invade our land in the name of grabbing our lands, kill people? Let us try to distinguish between herdsmen and Fulani terrorists or bandits that are coming to commit such a heinous act, right? So, the point I'm trying to make is that doing an investigation would have unraveled what we are trying to do.
And from your findings so far in Benue State, no investigation has been carried out.
If investigation has been carried out, where have we seen the report? Has the police come out to say XYZ, or has the government come out to make a pronouncement with respect to or regards to an investigation? There's no investigation. There's no investigation. So all of them are just saying things based on, for me, they are not even too sure what they are saying. Let us be sure. And why are we running away from a proper investigation? We have the police. We have members of these communities and all that. We can go ahead and ask them questions, right? But coming to say Fulani herdsmen, that's the point I'm making. We should not profile an ethnic group because some persons are being killed like that, you know. So we should be very sure. Let us carry out the proper investigation. Then with that, we can know what we are trying to unravel, and with that, we can know the solution to the problem. That's the point I'm making.
Okay, now I want us to move to Plateau State. We're seeing, just the sad news of almost 50 persons, who were killed. That just coming from last week where we saw people who were killed. And we saw Governor Mofwang, travel to some of these local government areas. Now, the issue of just Plateau is quite different from Benue State because this is over 2-decade-long crisis. So you're looking at ethnic, religious undertones to this security challenges. What do you think government has failed, to do in terms of properly ensuring that, this won't continue to linger? Because we've seen governments several times. Recently, Governor Mofwang talked about relating with traditional rulers and stakeholders. But this is more of, land grabbing. I will use the word the governor used in a recent interview. He used the word genocidal. So what do you make when you look at the Plateau State case?
You see, in the case of Plateau, it's very unfortunate that a state that is known and is called home of peace and tourism, that peace for me has left Plateau. People sleep with they don't sleep, but even in the event where they try to sleep, they sleep with their eyes open. Right. That's the situation they have found themselves in Plateau. Now, the unfortunate thing about Plateau is that these were people that were living very peacefully. We are talking about relationship here. There was this peaceful relationship, coexistence. At some point, it started with a religious crisis, Christian, Muslim. As I speak to you now in Plateau, there are places where a Muslim can build a house, a Christian cannot build. There are places where a Muslim can build a house where a Christian cannot build. If you, as a Christian, if you have your house in the area where it's Muslim dominated, you look for how to sell that property to a Muslim.
And there seems to be retaliatory attacks from this side and then the other side.
Yes. Now, so I think that at some point, the leadership, government and critical stakeholders in that, they missed it, right? They missed it. Now, with the case of Bokos and Bassa and all that, just the way you said, I think it has to do with land ownership, then grazing rights, right? The owners of the community owns the land and is feel entitled to the land. And they see the Fulanis that are there as settlers. They don't have any right over their land and all that. And just the way I talked about agricultural expansion. Now, in the course of expanding when these communities are farming communities, right? In the event where they try to say how to expand their farmland, it's assumed or believed that cattle rearers bring in their cattle to feed on their crops, And two factors has led to this: climate change, then population explosion. That's the way I said. Because all these are things that have led to one reason or the other. Now, in Plateau, it must be established who are the perpetrators. Before now, in 2023, this is not the way you said. In the last close to 2 decades, this is what we've been experiencing in Plateau. In 2023, about 100 persons were killed. The same thing, the governors of North Central and the top government functionaries turned Plateau into a venue or an avenue where they were going to commiserate. Meanwhile, by commiserating or condemning the act, these lives have been lost. Commiserating and condemning the act will not bring back these lives. They always tell us that they are on top of the game. On top of what? Last 2 weeks, it was Bokos. Yes, 2-3 days ago,
it is Bassa.
So if you're on top of the game, why are we not having improvement in the fight against
I had one of the politicians who contested with Governor Mofwang during the PDP primaries because Plateau State is a PDP state. And he was talking about the fact that just like America, every citizen in the country should be able to carry arms and then protect themselves. Has it gotten to that level? And I know America is having the issue of, gun violence. How do we walk through that? If security operatives, are not doing enough, they are working, but it's not enough to curb these killings. Is that the pathway to toe?
No, it is not the pathway, right? Just the way America is confronting the issue of gun running and all that. We cannot begin to have that in Nigeria here, And of course, you are aware that we are confronted with the proliferation of arms, small arms and light weapons. So in the event where we allow communities to say how to bear arms and to defend their community, it will lead to that. Which agency who monitors such community that bear these arms? You know, so monitoring and coordination will be a challenge. And of course, you cannot predict the mind of an individual in Nigeria that in the event where he's allowed to bear these arms, what he's up to do or use the arms for, right? So now it takes me to the point where I have said times with that number that we don't have security presence in these rural communities where these incidents happen. How do we now have security presence? If you like, we have less 400,000 police officers in this country. By the time you take out the ones that are protecting government officials.
I think that's, if I could put my hand on the figure, I think it's about 130-something thousand protecting VIPs. And then the remaining
200 and something, you know, is now left to protect you and I.
The whole country, as big as it is.
Exactly. So even if you increase the number from what we have now to 1 million, it will still not be in place or in there for them to be in every.
Well, do you think these state governors should toe the path of the Southwest governors who have a Motekun infrastructure?
I was going to go there. When this attack on Bokos happened last in 2023, when the North Central governors, the 6 of them, went to pay a sympathy visit or condolence visit to Governor Mufon, I was on air somewhere, and they asked me this very question. I said, yes, the best time for me to plant a tree, according to a Chinese proverb, is 20 years ago. Another best time is now. That best time that I talked about 2 years ago, I was expecting the North Central state governors to be able to put themselves together and come up with a local structure, such as the Amoteco. Now, these governors have special advisors on security. What are the special advisors on security? That of Plateau is the retired Brigadier General. I expect at this point the 6 special advisors should have a platform where they are meeting, right, and see how to improve the security of the North Central states. Now, do they even have a platform? Are they meeting? Are they even in communication? Now, if we continue to see that appointees are people that you know, and you are not appointing them based on merit or based on their weight of experience, we will continue to find ourselves in this situation. Appointments, for me, like in my state, the governor became governor. 6 months after he became governor, there was nobody, no special advisor, no senior special assistant or anything on security to him. So it means that he did not take security as a priority. Meanwhile, people are killed like chicken. At the end of the day, when he was pressurized, he now went and brought one lieutenant colonel from his community. Now, I am from the Idoma speaking part. An average chief man does not believe that an Idoma person has something to offer. So in the event where I am sitting here as a security professional with a PhD in security and strategic studies, if I have anything to offer that will improve the security of my state, the governor will not even listen to me because I'm from the Idoma speaking part. So a governor of a state should look beyond
just his own. Yes. And this is Reverend Father Aliyah. One would expect that, I mean, with that kind of background, he shouldn't have that kind of mentality.
But he's a human being. The priest now has become a politician. So he's handling the issues of politics because he's a politician now, you know. But this was what we were expecting from him, that he was going to come different. But the reverse is the case in what we're seeing. Now, the point is that governors are chief security officers of their states, whether they like it or not. They should allow the third tier of government to function. The federal government usually have their security council meeting. The state governors also have their security meetings at the state level, where they call commissioners of police, brigades of GOCs, heads of other security agencies and all that. They usually have these meetings at the state level. Does the chairman of local government, does he have the capacity?
I mean, I was waiting for you to get there, because in some of these states, we're seeing governors suspend local government chairmen, thereby crippling a structure that could actually, imagine people who voted somebody into the office of a local government chairman. Okay. There definitely will be trust in that person to be able to do the needful to protect them. Absolutely. But we've seen governors clamping down on some of these governors. And you saw what happened in Oyo State. Just shortly after some local government chairman was suspended, then we saw how that particular crisis of Kano residents who were killed were on transit. And we're seeing the same thing too in Benue and Plateau State. So what do you think that this government can do? Because it seems to me as if of course, yes, the police is under the federal government's jurisdiction. The army is also under the federal government's jurisdiction. Should they wait till when state police becomes a reality? That is, if eventually it becomes a reality. And do you think they are properly funded by the federal government to have these structures in place?
Now, the issue of state police, I've said it times without number that Nigeria is not right for that because we have intoxicated governors. They are intoxicated with power. For instance, in my state, Peter Obi wants to visit my state to come.
And Governor Ali denied him access.
So imagine that a governor as that has a state police under his control. They will abuse it. That's the point. They will go after political opponents and all that, and we chant critics of their government. So when you see this kind of powers that they display, and you want to come and put the state police under their control, then we are in for it. Moreover, how many states are even viable enough to fund state police? When the federal government is still struggling in the area of logistics, in the area of training, in the area of equipment, arms and ammunition to fund federal police, and we have states that cannot even pay salaries to their workers. So it's a difficult task to begin to ask for state police under the state governors that we have. But you know, I am interested in where we must have security presence in our rural communities. Governors must allow local government to function. You know, they should not continue to clamp on them, take resources away from them, resources that they are supposed to use. Most of these communities that are being attacked are within our the third tier of government. Local government chairmen should have the capacity to create or grade feeder rural roads, because some of these areas where these incidents happen, the roads are not even, the places are not even accessible due to bad roads. But the local government should have funds that can be able to grade a road from the local government headquarters to that community. In the event where incidents or attacks like this are happening, the police can have easy access to the place. The recent attacks before now, the chief of defense staff complained of proximity to these rural communities. If this is not done, then we are not ready to have these solutions, right? Then I want to also emphasize on having a local structure, just the way we have the Nigerian Forest Security Service that had passed third reading at the Senate and waiting for the president's accent. We should have such a local structure. Their security, their mandate now is to see that our forested regions are provided with security, and they can as well expand the scope where rural communities such as the ones that have been attacked in Basa, Mongo, and the other areas, they can have presence of this local security structure whereby they will be armed, sophisticatedly armed with modern weapons and ammunition to be able to confront these bandits when they come. Right? These guys, when they come, they find communities as fertile ground or safe haven for them to come and strike. And they strike. At the end of the day, nobody is caught, nobody is arrested, nobody is killed, and they keep coming. We have not seen where perpetrators have been brought to book. There is no severe punishment for people that commit acts of criminality in this country. Seriously. So you know, all that needs to change. The justice system, what is happening to the justice system, the will from trial to prosecution and all that is so slow. It's so slow. Somebody commit acts of terrorism, the person is kept in prison. We are waiting trial for like 6, 7, 8 years going. Why should it be like that? There's no deterrent. People go into crime because there's no deterrent. People go into crime.
And those who are even tried, I mean, they are reintegrated back into the society.
How can we have criminals, people that were commanders as Boko Haram fighters, killed people, made children orphans, made women widows, men widowers? At the end of the day, you said they have repented and they want to see how to reintegrate them back into society. And you know what? There's this community resistance. The community is resisting that move.
Now, Doctor, as we wind down this conversation, I mean, you heard in the words of Governor Mofwang, he said, "We are sorry we failed you." When do we move past, you know, we condemn these killings, we are so sorry, we apologize, and the only time you actually visit these communities are when people are attacked? So the visiting is not even a strategic decision or call for investigation. It's more of, okay, let's sympathize with you. In just 1 minute, what should government do to go beyond, to go past all of that?
First of all, let me tell you that these victims or their families are tired of this condemnation, or we sympathize with you and all that. They are tired. It has become very tiring to the ear. All these comments or statements that the government make, both federal and state, should be backed with action. The people are not seeing the action today. They will come kill them, go scot-free. You will come again in convoy of cars. You have turned the place to a pilgrimage center in the negative. Come sympathize with them and you go, and at the end of the day, you leave them vulnerable to their attackers again. So, you see, we will keep putting up temporary measures. When it happened in Bokos, the IGP deployed one squad, tactical squad and all that. They went there. At the end of the day, they will retrieve them, and the people will still become very prone, vulnerable to their attackers. We must be serious in dealing with these issues. Politics and democracy that should be beneficial to the people, it is now something that they never wished that it would have come. Well, politicians have turned the whole thing into politics, playing games with it. We must take politics out of it. Let us see that will, the political will, to see how to stop this fight. The measures to put in place, one is to see that there's local security presence. The president talked about the forest guards in his manifesto. How does he want to establish that? How does he want to make that work?
All right, Doctor, thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Okay, we'll take a quick breather, and when we come back, we'll go into the world of politics this time around, trying to make sense and unpack the last PDP Governors Forum meeting. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
LN 24/7 is first of all a news station.
Well, we continue with updates from the just concluded governorship
in the southeast has raised questions if INEC will be able to conduct elections.
With a core team of over 40 correspondents spread across Nigeria.
This is the Otedola Bridge, the famous Otedola Bridge.
We are not here to beg, but we are here to fight for our rights.
And affiliates in Africa, Europe, America, and Asia.
Under heavy security here in Lagos, Nigeria.
We give you news as it breaks from the perspective you can trust.
They told us that they are going to be here from 7 a.m. and they've been here since morning.
LN 24/7 News, where the story goes, we go.
Many thanks for staying with us on LN 24/7. The conversation continues. This time around, we will be focusing on the People's Democratic Party. Unpacking the PDP Governors meeting. Our talking points will focus on the 2027 rejection of merger proposal by Atiku, tussle over national secretary position and proposed NEC meeting, and resolving internal wrangling. Our guest, Ogwede Ifaluyi Sibo, PDP chieftain, former commissioner for digital economy, Science and Technology, Oyo State. Thank you so much for being with us, sir.
Thank you.
Good to have you on set. I think the last conversation was online, but good to have you in our studios.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
All right, so our reactions continue to trail the recent PDP Governors Forum meeting in Oyo State. Let's take a few reactions. Former Governor of Benue State, Gabriel Soswam, described the People's Democratic Party's current situation as completely lost, that is, Nigerians have lost confidence in the party. He said many people and stakeholders are no longer interested in the opposition party because of its lingering crisis and leadership failure. He also condemned the practice of giving the party's presidential ticket to the highest bidder. Away from him, National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Senator Samuel Anyanwu, has also taken a swipe at the governors elected on the platform of the PDP party, saying that he was elected at the PDP National Convention for 4 years, and with this, he cannot be removed by a handful of party men. And according to him, the PDP Governors Forum's decision to try to supplant an elected national officer of the party is an affront to the nation's laws and the constitution of the PDP. And I mean, the PDP governors, in a communique released after their meeting in Ibadan on the 14th of April, said the party will not join any coalition or merger. Atiku, who was the party's presidential candidate in the 2019 and 2023 presidential elections, has been contesting Nigeria's presidency for over 3 decades. And do recall that he made that proposal with El Rufai from the APC, now in SDP, and they've been talking about these coalition moves. And the governors also proposed that the party's deputy national secretary should temporarily assume the role of the national secretary until a substantive appointment is made from the Southeast Zone. And following the Supreme Court judgment on the secretary position, appointing National Secretary Setonji Koshodo as acting National Secretary. So these are just some of the dynamics playing out. Also, the firm finds the alarming worsening security situation in the country as evidence in the parts of Borno, Plateau, Katsina, and Edo. And the firm has called for a review and reordering of priorities and strategies, including adopting a template that guarantees the subnationals to constitute an effective line of defense against security. The forum also resolves that working in conjunction with the National Working Committee and other relevant party organs to hold a NEC meeting on the 27th of May. And of course, will that happen? But let's have a listen to some sound bites from that meeting.
That the PDP will not join any coalition or merger. However, the PDP as a major opposition party welcomes any party, persons or groups that are willing to join it with a view to wresting power and enthroning good leadership in 2027. 2. The forum reiterates its position taken in Asaba on the issue of the national secretary of the party, but in the wake of the Supreme Court judgment, the forum resolved to recommend that the deputy national secretary acts as a national secretary pending the nomination and ratification of a substantive national secretary from the Southeast Zone at NEC at its next meeting. 3. The forum reasserts our collective determination to avert a rape of our constitutional democracy, hence the decision of approaching the Supreme Court to give a clear-cut verdict on the interpretation of the provision of the law on the declaration of state of emergency in any state of the Federation. The forum therefore reiterates its solidarity with His Excellency Similaye Fubara on the ordeal in which his state and people have been plunged into by the declaration of the state of emergency, and we reiterate our commitment to stand with him till the end. Number 4, the forum finds alarming the worsening security situation in the country as evidenced in parts of the country, especially Borno, Plateau, Katsina, and Edo states. The forum calls for the review and reordering of priorities and strategies, including adopting a bottom-up template that guarantees the subnationals to constitute an effective line of defense against security breaches. While raising the concerns above, we condemn the recent attacks in Plateau State and commiserate with the government and people of the state, especially those who lost their lives and properties during the recent mishap. Number 5, the forum resolved that working in conjunction with the National Working Committee, NWC, and other relevant organs of the party to hold a NEC meeting on the 27th of May 2025, constitute a zoning committee that will address all issues relating to zoning of the party offices and hold an early convention in August 2025, precisely on the 28th, 29th, and 30th of August in the ancient city of Kano.
All right, our guest is with us in the studio. Ifali, you get to have you back with us. Now, your party has been on the front line, on the news. I mean, I cannot count the number of times I've spoken about your party in just this year, 2025. So what's up with this governors meeting? I mean, it was announced on Sunday that they were going to have this meeting in Oyo State, and it's no surprise because, I mean, you have someone like Makinde, who many people feel should be the next person to helm the affairs of the presidential ticket. What are your thoughts on what has played out this meeting and the several reactions surrounding that meeting so far?
Well, thank you. I'm finding it very interesting discussing issues that are bordering the People's Democratic Party and to a large extent the Nigerian people. You know, I'm tempted to see it in a different light. It's not narrowing it down to just the People's Democratic Party, but the agony that Nigerians appear to go through, under the APC government today. And that is why many Nigerians are a bit disappointed that the main opposition party or the opposition parties are not doing enough, to put the APC government on her toes and to provide an alternative for the Nigerian people. And that is why many people are of the opinion that considering the decay of the democratic element that we have today in Nigeria, it is vital and it should be above the personal ambition of anybody for the opposition parties to form some kind of alliance to deliver Nigerians from the destruction of the APC.
Well, the Labour Party said they don't want an alliance. That's the meeting they had after the Supreme Court's judgment on their leadership crisis. And also now the PDP governors are saying they don't want to be a part of an alliance despite Atiku's bid for that. And also I was listening to Bode George on an interview, of course, in one of the local stations, talking about the fact that without coalition, it will be practically impossible to unseat APC government.
I think what the Labour Party leadership and the PDP governors should really bother about now is the plight of the Nigerian people, because that should matter. In a democracy, the opinions of the people or the wishes of the people should be paramount. So the Labour Party clearly cannot win a presidential election, and with the way the democratic setting is today, the PDP also, with due respect to my party, will not be able, to win a presidential election with the way we are right now. That is why Nigerians generally are of the view that you guys will have to come together. First of all, resolve all the issues you're having internally, form some kind of a common front for the sake of the people to wrest power from the APC. And to be very honest, while I clearly understand the view of the of the PDP governors saying that, they may not be wanting to change the name of their party, they may not be wanting to form a coalition or an alliance, but those who are willing to join should come and join. I find sense in that. I also find sense in Labour Party saying that, well, we're also a big opposition party, we're not willing to form an alliance. I also find sense in that. But the Nigerian people do not find sense, in wanting to fight a big battle individually like they're pretending to want to do, because they really do not have the capacity to do it. And I've listened to several thoughts of party leaders on this matter, and everybody has a good argument. But for me, at the end of the day, it boils down to what the reality is. It boils down to what the aspiration of the people are. It boils down to the destruction of the tenets, the ethics, the ethos, or the vision of democracy. As we presently see today, shamefully, the Oyo State government's chief press secretary made a release yesterday, and one could easily deduce from the press release that the governor of the state was thanking the president for not submitting to the pressure from Nigerian people to allow the judiciary to stand up for the Edo people at the Edo State Governorship Election Tribunal. And he was thanking the president for being loyal to the party. So what it clearly meant was that we are happy that you were able to subvert justice against the Edo people, but in support of your political party. And that is the direction Nigeria appears to be going today, and that worries the people. You see, if we practice democracy, and the people feel that we do not have a really democratic government where the rule of law presides, where those in the executive would obey rulings from the judiciary, then we do not have a country. If we have a system of government where the people feel that the legislature and the judiciary are under the whims and caprice of the executive, that is not a democracy. And that is really not a government.
And that's where opposition comes in.
Yes.
But now, when you look at the last 2023 elections, you look at the results. If you combine the votes cast for PDP and the vote cast for Labour Party, I mean, that takes out APC. So given this background, why are they not seeing the light of the tunnel? They're not seeing the light yet regarding 2027 election.
I think the PDP governors would have to reconsider, that.
Do you feel that they're just trying to play safe and see what the climate will be in 2027? Because I mean, things could change towards merger talks and alignment. We never can tell.
Yeah, obviously. There's a sense in which there will have to be more stakeholder engagement, because the governors of the PDP are not, the only stakeholders of the party. The PDP is, in all local government councils, all wards of the country. So there will have to be wider consultations.
But they seem to be acting as if they are in charge of the party. Like, are they responsible for fixing NEC meeting? I saw that that was one of the resolutions in that meeting, and also taking a stand against Senator Nyawu. And I know that's another conversation.
It's been very interesting.
You seem to be independent in terms of, okay, I'm not with Wike, I'm not with Atiku, I'm not with the Governors Forum. So what's your take?
Well, I'm with the Nigerian people, first of all. And for the fixing of NEC meetings is a strictly party issue. And for several months now, we all knew that NEC was going to have the next meeting on the 27th of May. So it really had nothing to do with what the governors had said yesterday.
What about the secretary position?
Well, the Supreme Court has already laid to rest the controversies surrounding that. And, after the Federal High Court had made the ruling and Udo Okoye was announced, the secretary, and then the other side went to court. And the Supreme Court clearly said that this is a strictly party matter. It's an internal issue. So go settle your issues. And it behoves now the leadership of the party, the NEC and the NWC, to come together to decide what is going to be. And I'm thinking that at the next convention in August, all that will be handled. But I don't think that is...
So that means you're saying that for now, pending that NEC meeting, Anyanwu can still pride himself as the secretary.
No, Anyanwu has long ceased.
But he's still saying he is. He has supporters who still feel he is.
Well, and that is the sad part of it. And that is why Nigerians generally are offended that the PDP is not able to put her act together. Instead of us having this foolishness, if you allow me, of several court issues and people, fighting against each other, why don't we put ourselves together and face the real issue, which is the APC?
But someone would say that when you have the big weights in the party fighting each other, you have Atiku, you have Wike. So if that fighting is, I won't call it fighting, maybe just more of interest. If they have different interests, I mean, you will not be surprised to have that trickle down into, the other
it's actually a failure.
Positions.
It's actually a failure of leadership, where we have allowed individuals, to take over leadership of the party and not the party structure itself. Former Governor Wike is an individual. Former Vice President Atiku is an individual. And yes, anybody could have an ambition. It's okay to have an ambition, but your ambition cannot, take preeminence over the success, if you allow me, of a political party, or the destruction, as it were. So I'm looking forward to the day where individuals will put aside their ambitions and let's focus on the real meat of the matter. Let's focus on building a solid opposition platform that can deliver Nigerians from the destruction we've seen today. But we're seeing an increased pace of insecurity. We're seeing killings go on without any challenge. We're seeing insecurity in very gargantuan measures, becoming very resplendent. If it's not Plateau today, it's Benue tomorrow, it's Edo the next day. It's a big shame. And how are we expected to grow our economy when investors are saying on a daily basis that this environment is not safe and it's not secure for businesses to thrive? And Nigerians are at the bottom of the totem pole in this case, because Nigerians are being killed. And we're not seeing, apart from the regular, I'm directing the security agencies, to arrest the situation and bring perpetrators to book. We are tired of the lack of leadership. We're tired of the failures perpetrated by government. The people are tired of being kept at the bottom. The people are tired of being oppressed and of being relegated to the background. When is it going to be that the Nigerian people will really matter to those in government and to those in the opposition? It is really sad, and I'm thinking that those actors would at some point ascend above the madness that we intend to see or we pretend to see today and believe more about the unity of the Nigerian people.
Now, talking about madness, you have someone like the Minister of the FCT, who's revoked the building of the PDP National Secretariat. So you're about to have a NEC meeting. What if he insists that based on that issue of rent not being paid by the party, I mean, there is no building to hold in a meeting. So, I mean, how do you see this crisis being resolved? Do you think there has to be a joint, like, who should make concessions? Is it the Wike arm of the party or the Atiku arm of the party, or from what it seems to be, the governor's arm of the party? I mean, and you see Atiku, you know, frolicking with SDP in the form of El Rafai. So I don't know, how do you see this crisis being resolved?
I'm thinking that His Excellency Nyesom Wike, you know, Minister of the FCT, would have to realize that there's an extent to which he can meddle into the affairs of the PDP. He's serving an APC government, and his loyalty is to his boss. You know, and so Nigerians and PDP members especially are foreseeing a situation where he allows the PDP to do their thing while he does his thing with the government. He could remain a member of the PDP for all he wants, but we can clearly see that he's a supporter of the APC government. And, you know, concerning the issue of revoking the national headquarters, I think that's a legal issue and it should be resolved legally. If really the PDP has to pay some rent and all, they should do that, you know, to avoid all the craziness we're saying. You know, and I'm really hopeful on behalf of the people that we can put ourselves together. There has to be some
But do you think that is possible? Because I do recall President Tinubu recently making reference to Wike that he was going to have him removed if he did not favor his party. When you have the president make that kind of statement, what hope do you have that Wike is ready to make a concession?
Well, regarding the words of the president, it's not someone that I fancy. I don't find so much grace in many of his utterances. We could see to the build-up of the Edo elections where the president of a democratic country, as it were, say on national TV that I'm going to give you Edo State. And till today, that has troubled many Nigerians and indeed watchers of Nigeria, that how can it be that an individual can proclaim that I will give you Edo State? You're not a registered voter in Edo State. You're not from Edo State. Your vote will not count in Edo State. You won't be voting on the day. And how then? What gives you that imprimatur to adjudge yourself as the one who would give the Edo people a governor, when there are thousands of voters who should be able, according to the Constitution, cast their vote on election day to elect a leader? And you see, that boils down to the fact that we're having a sustained destruction of democratic principles under the APC government today. And that should be the worry of every Nigerian, and indeed the political gladiators.
I can also see that the governors were worried during that meeting. They made mention of Governor Fubara's case, I mean, who is a strong member of that forum, and they're pursuing a legal case with the federal government challenging that decision. Now, I wanted to ask your own interpretation of what has played out so far, because during this insecurity in Benue State and Plateau State, I mean, APC has Benue State, PDP has Plateau State. And the reaction I've gotten from the presidency, we've seen from reports, is there's this strong, firm, you know, condemnation for what's going on in Plateau State than for what was in the APC. And there's some people who could be worried that if things are not going, I mean, if we're not careful, we could see a situation whereby a state of emergency can be declared in Plateau State. It has happened before and could happen again. Do you worry about
Well, obviously, there's a lackadaisical, you know, approach coming from the presidency when it comes to tackling security in general. You know, and while I do not want to reduce it to partisanship, I want to submit it on the table of lack of leadership, because the protection or the safety of the Nigerian people is a primary purpose of government at the federal or state levels. So if the president is treating killings in Benue differently from the way he's treating it in Plateau or in Edo, you know, that's you know, it's shameful, you know. But I would want to assume that those who are entrusted with securing the lives of the people, you know, in this case, now the security agencies, would see to it that we really cannot live in a nation where people just invade a community and kill people and they run away. We saw pictures of 3-year-old, 5-year-old babies being slain. And what could have been the offense of these people? And one would have thought that this would have been a situation where the president or the presidency would, in very strong terms, not just condemn the attacks, but show more empathy, show sympathy to these people who have been attacked and address the issue holistically. Was saying that the members of the police force, some claim to be underfunded, was saying that the army, and I mean, everybody is tired of the whole situation. But then there's a lack of political leadership in this case. Talking about the state of emergency, reasonable Nigerians, we've seen several opinions, but most of it, people have condemned the manner in which the president declared a state of emergency in Rivers State. Many people felt that it was not warranted. Many people felt that it was unconstitutional. But despite all the advice the president has gotten, he has decided to stick to his decision. And we're seeing what's going on now in the state. I don't know so much of what's happening, but the general feeling is that the people are not pleased because there was an elected there was an elected government. There was an election that brought up members of the State House of Assembly. There were local government chairmen that were elected. I mean, that is a constitutional role of the people to elect their leadership. And where one individual, who happens to be the president, can just decide to declare a state of emergency and appoint the sole administrator who judges what he wants to do, appoints those who are close to former Governor Wike, as we hear. It's a big shame because people understand that President Tinubu is not fair. People know that he's not just. People do not have so much confidence in his leadership. And he's making it worse for those in the South because the Northerners are saying that power was shifted to the South and you guys gave us a Tinubu. And we're saying that across the country, the people are disenchanted in the South and in the North. And how could it be that such a flimsy issue could be treated with so much levity by the federal government to completely remove elected government in Rivers State? And we're saying that this level of impunity is affecting the fabrics of our nation. We're seeing local government chairmen being suspended, being removed by governors, flouting the Supreme Court judgment or even the Constitution, and nothing happens to happen. If the president on his own could remove, an elected government, why can't the governor remove local government chairmen? So this is the bigger picture that borders on Nigerians, and it should bother everybody because we cannot continue to sink into this hole of lack of leadership and lack of empathy in leadership and lack of a policy direction on virtually all fronts of our national life. We're seeing an increase in job loss. We're seeing increase in poverty. We're seeing increase in infant mortality. We're seeing increase in out-of-school children across the country. This is a big deal, and this should bother the people. And that is why I think that the opposition parties should come together to make sure that we do not continue with this level of failure after 2027. There has to be a change, and I think that the APC has proved to Nigerians that they are able to lead the Nigerian people to peace and prosperity, and the PDP, the Labour Party, the SDP, and all other political parties should come together to kick them out of the office.
Well, that will depend on your party leadership and also the party of the Labour Party, but SDP has pretty made it clear that they are ready for a coalition. Well, thank you so much, Honorable, for being with us on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that's the much we can take, and we'll continue to monitor political activities across the country, Africa, and around the world. Once again, my name is Mono Balagugu. We would follow up developments on all stories that we've touched today on the show. Thank you for watching.